The story opens quietly, with OK Chanmi on a phone call with her twin brother, OK Changgu, who now lives under the name Park Won-suk. Their conversation feels normal, casual, the kind of talk only siblings who survived life together can have. Chanmi is relaxed, unaware that this ordinary moment is about to become the last time she ever hears his voice. In the middle of their call, Won-suk suddenly freezes. His tone changes. He tells Chanmi to wait, that someone has just walked into the room. Before she can ask who it is, the line goes silent. At first, she thinks it's just bad reception. Then, in a horrifying instant, she sees something through the screen that makes her heart drop, her brother falling from a window. The call disconnects. Chanmi stares at her phone in shock, unable to understand what she just witnessed, unsure if it was real or some terrible illusion. Still shaken, Chanmi forces herself to focus on the reason she came to the city in the first place, a shooting competition. She is one of the best, usually calm and precise, but this time her hands tremble. Her mind keeps replaying that final image of her brother. Each shot feels heavier than the last. When the results are announced, Chanmi doesn't hear the applause. She places third, winning bronze instead of gold, and she knows exactly why. Her brother's face never left her thoughts. With no response from Won-suk for days, Chanmi makes a decision that will change her life. She travels to Seoul, determined to see him in person and demand answers. Instead, she is met with words she never imagined hearing. Park Won-suk is gone. The police tell her it was suicide. The news hits even harder because Chanmi and her brother's past is already filled with loss. As children, they were abandoned by their parents and raised in an orphanage. Later, only Chan-kyu, later known as Won-suk, was adopted. Chanmi stayed behind. Despite being separated, the bond between them never broke. He promised to protect her, no matter what life threw at them. And now, he's gone. At the memorial, Chanmi stands frozen in front of a small urn. Her brother's ashes sit beside a framed photo of him smiling, looking alive in a way that feels cruel. She breaks down completely. This is not how his story should end. She goes to meet his adoptive parents, hoping to find grief, answers, or at least shared pain. Instead, she finds cold judgment. They believe Won-suk committed a terrible sin by taking his own life. They don't mourn him. They don't question it. They've already accepted the official story. But Chanmi can't. She knows her brother. And she knows he would never choose to take his own life. Refusing to stay silent, Chanmi goes to the police station and demands a proper investigation. She tells them clearly, her brother was murdered. The officers listen, but their faces say everything. To them, she is just another grieving relative who refused to believe that someone related to her can do such. Another case they've already closed. That is when Chanmi makes her boldest decision. If the truth won't come to her, she will go to where it all started. She applies for a transfer to Yongtan High School, the same school her brother attended. Her friends back in Busan don't understand her choice. As a pistol shooter, teamwork matters, and leaving puts everyone at a disadvantage. But Chanmi isn't thinking about medals anymore. She's thinking about revenge and truth. At the same time, another life quietly unfolds. Ji Soo-hyun lives day by day, working part-time jobs to survive and to pay for his mother's care in a nursing home. He has no safety net, no one to rely on. One evening, after visiting his mother, his body suddenly gives out. He collapses on the road and wakes up in a hospital, surrounded by strangers. The doctors refuse to explain his condition without a guardian present. Soo-hyun is discharged with more questions than answers. When he steps outside, reality hits again. His bike is stolen. That bike was everything to him. Without it, he loses mobility, work opportunities, and control over his already fragile life. While Soo-hyun searches desperately for his stolen bike, Chanmi arrives in Seoul. Needing transportation, she unknowingly buys that same bike. Their first meeting is explosive. Soo-hyun confronts her, accusing her of theft. Chanmi refuses to listen. In a moment of instinct, she jumps on the bike and escapes. Soo-hyun chases her through the streets until reality catches up again. The original thieves return, trying to steal the bike back. A fight breaks out. Soo-hyun holds his ground until one of the thieves strikes him on the head. Dizzy and bleeding, he stumbles away, barely conscious. Just as he's about to collapse into oncoming danger, Chanmi pulls him back, saving his life. In that moment, hostility turns into an uneasy ceasefire. Later, Soo-hyun helps her clean up after she accidentally falls into a garbage dump. He hands her his school blazer to cover herself. It's a small act, but one that changes how others see her. When Chanmi walks into school wearing Soo-hyun's blazer, whispers spread instantly. Girls stare. Rumors begin. While searching for clues about her brother, Chanmi manages to get the phone number of Won-suk's girlfriend from a student. When she calls, her heart sinks. The number belongs to Soo-hyun. Confused and suspicious, Chanmi follows him after school. He enters a hospital. She stays close enough to hear everything. Outside the hospital, a doctor delivers devastating news. Soo-hyun has a brain tumor. Inoperable. Untreatable. The weight of that truth crushes him. He asks how long he has. The answer leaves no room for hope. He has 6 months to 1 year left to live. Days pass. Soo-hyun disappears from school. Chon-mi keeps searching, piecing together fragments of her brother's final days. One afternoon, she enters the very room where Won-suk fell from the window. She turns around. Soo-hyun is standing there. Serious. And then he says the words that change everything. He saw Park Won-suk fall. He was the one who called the police. The mystery has just begun. When Chon-mi finally gathers the courage to ask Soo-hyun why he returned to school after disappearing for days, his answer surprises her. He tells her it wasn't because of classes, teachers, or exams. It was because of lunch, the stray cat he feeds every day. His voice is calm, but there's something fragile beneath it, like he's holding himself together with routine. He leads Chon-mi to a quiet corner near the school grounds where the cat usually waits for him. As lunch eats, Soo-hyun explains what really happened on the day Won-suk died. He says he was there, feeding the cat, when he suddenly heard a heavy sound hit the ground. When he turned around, he saw a body lying still. It was Won-suk. The memory clearly hasn't left him. Before they walk away, Soo-hyun asks Chon-mi to feed lunch whenever he's not around. It feels like a small request, but it carries weight, like he's slowly handing pieces of his life to her without realizing it. Their break time arrives, and they head toward the cafeteria. Chon-mi tries to act normal, but her eyes keep drifting back to Soo-hyun. She can't forget what she overheard at the hospital. The tumor, the limited time, the way his future has already been decided for him. Just as her thoughts begin to spiral, loud voices pull her attention away. A crowd has formed. At the center of it stands a terrified female student, Min Seon-ha, facing a male student named Sa Young-kyung. The tension is heavy. Chon-mi learns that Young-kyung had immorally assaulted Seon-ha in the past. Because there wasn't enough evidence, he avoided serious punishment. The only consequence was a school transfer. That's why seeing him back at Yongtan High feels like a slap in the face to everyone who knows the truth. Later in class, Chon-mi can't hold her anger in. She confronts Young-kyung openly, and the situation escalates fast. Another student, Suk Jae-byum, steps in to support her, but instead of calming things down, it adds fuel to the fire. Voices rise, tempers flare, and it looks like violence might break out right there in the classroom. Before things spiral out of control, Kyo-sung, Jae-byum's close friend, steps in and shuts it down with authority. The tension doesn't disappear, but it's temporarily contained. Away from school, Soo-hyun sits in a doctor's office again. This time, the doctor speaks more bluntly. He explains that Soo-hyun needs medication to control his symptoms. He also warns him about possible side effects: sudden aggression, emotional instability, and intense mood swings. The doctor stresses one thing above all else: Soo-hyun must stay calm. Soo-hyun listens quietly, but his expression says he knows staying calm won't be easy. Back at school, Chon-mi is assigned to help Jae-byum practice shooting. She treats the session like serious training, pushing him harder than expected. Jae-byum struggles, clearly overwhelmed. Later, Oh-sung pulls Chon-mi aside and explains that Jae-byum isn't here to compete. He's here to recover. After a past incident left him in a coma, he lost part of his memory, and shooting is his way of trying to reconnect with himself. Realizing she crossed a line, Chon-mi apologizes sincerely. Jae-byum accepts it without resentment and asks her to keep helping him. For the first time since arriving in Seoul, Chon-mi feels like she's doing something right. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun returns a lost phone to Hong Ah-young. During their conversation, he learns that Chon-mi has been asking to meet Ah-young to talk about Won-suk. Ah-young, along with Tae So-yeon, is clearly unsettled by this. They exchange uneasy looks, realizing that the past Chon-mi is digging into may not stay buried. Later that day, Soo-hyun sees Chon-mi talking with Jae-byum on the sidewalk. The image lingers in his mind, mixing with the message he saw earlier about her searching for answers. When he speaks to her again after she gets home, he tries to probe gently, but Chon-mi doesn't reveal much. The wall between them remains. The following day, Chon-mi notices something is wrong during class. Soo-hyun looks pale and unfocused. His hand keeps going to his head. Suddenly, he stands up and rushes out. Chon-mi remembers the doctor's warning and follows him without hesitation. She runs into the men's restroom, ignoring the awkwardness, and freezes. Blood is seeping out from under one of the stall doors. Her heart races as she calls out Soo-hyun's name. Moments later, he steps out of a different cubicle, just as shocked as she is. Neither of them understands what they're seeing. Then the truth reveals itself. The blood belongs to Seon-ha. She has cut her wrist inside the restroom. Panic takes over. Chon-mi and Soo-hyun call for help immediately. An ambulance arrives, and Seon-ha is rushed to the hospital. Detectives soon arrive at the school, and they recognize Chon-mi right away. During separate questioning, The female detective begins asking pointed questions about Chanmi's sudden transfer from Busan to Seoul. Chanmi doesn't back down. She tells the detective exactly what she believes, that her brother did not end his life, and that she will keep searching for the truth no matter what. At the hospital, Seon-ha's parents are devastated. Seeing their daughter unconscious breaks them. Her father storms to the school demanding answers, but nothing changes. The system offers no comfort, no justice. Not long after, Chanmi finally receives a reply from Ah-young. She rushes to the meeting spot, heart pounding. A girl approaches her, pretending to be Ah-young, but something feels off. Chanmi quickly checked the picture of Ah-young in her phone only to realize this is not Ah-young. The girl is surprised she discovers she is not Ah-young despite not seeing in person before. She later introduces herself as Tae So-yeon and tells Chanmi directly that if she truly wants to understand what kind of person Won-suk was, she should meet him So-mi instead. Chanmi follows that lead, hoping for clarity. Instead, she walks into another nightmare. So-mi paints a completely different picture of Won-suk, not as a victim, but as someone cruel, someone who bullied others. She even says that some people are glad he passed out. The words hit Chanmi harder than anything else so far. Her world cracks. She apologizes on her brother's behalf, even though she doesn't fully understand what she's apologizing for, and leaves in silence. Elsewhere, So-yeon approaches Soo-hyun with a dangerous proposal. She asks him to handle Young-kyung the only way she believes justice can exist, through force. She reminds him of a time in the past when he helped her before. She even offers him money. Soo-hyun refuses at first. But So-yeon doesn't give up. She gives him time to think. That time runs out when Soo-hyun receives a call from his mother's nursing home. Her condition has worsened. Pneumonia. The bills will increase. The pressure closes in on him from every direction. With no other option in sight, Soo-hyun agrees. That night, he sneaks into a dark room at school where Young-kyung is alone, developing photos meant to blackmail Seon-ha. Soo-hyun attacks swiftly, tying him to a chair. He threatens him, forcing him to promise he will drop out of school the next day. Young-kyung agrees out of fear, but Soo-hyun doesn't stop there. Something inside him snaps. He hit Young-kyung's feet with a hammer, crossing a line he can never uncross. Soo-hyun is running, breathless, his heart pounding as he tries to put distance between himself and what he has just done. His hands are shaking, his mind racing. He knows he crossed a line, even if he believed the punishment was deserved. As he rushes through the dark school grounds, he suddenly comes face to face with Chanmi. She notices him instantly. Something feels off. Soo-hyun quickly makes up an excuse, trying to act normal, but Chanmi's eyes drift downward. She sees the blood on his shoes. The moment lingers uncomfortably. She doesn't ask questions, but the silence between them says enough. They walk away together, yet Soo-hyun cannot shake the weight in his chest. Chanmi's face stays in his mind long after they part ways. The next day, fate places them together again, this time in a much quieter, heavier setting. They both arrive at a resting place, each there for their own reasons. It becomes clear that grief is something they share, even if their stories are different. Soo-hyun finally opens up. He tells Chanmi about his older brother, who took his own life after enduring relentless bullying. His voice is calm, but the pain underneath it is unmistakable. Chanmi listens carefully, then reveals the truth she has been carrying alone. Park Won-suk was her twin brother. The realization changes the way they look at each other. For the first time, they are no longer just classmates or strangers tied together by coincidence. They are two people standing on the same ground of loss. Back at Yongtan High, the atmosphere is tense. News spreads quickly as Young-kyung is seen being wheeled out of school in a wheelchair. Students shout at him, telling him never to return. Their anger is loud and unforgiving. Chanmi and Soo-hyun arrive at the scene at the same time, catching the attention of Ji-hyun, who quietly observes them together. Later, Ji-hyun approaches Chanmi and bluntly asks if something is going on between her and Soo-hyun. Chanmi denies it without hesitation. Students gather to watch a basketball match between Soo-hyun's class and Oh-sung's class. Ji-hyun cheers loudly for Soo-hyun, which visibly irritates Oh-sung. His frustration builds until he finally shoves Soo-hyun during the game. Soo-hyun loses balance, hits his head hard, and collapses. The situation escalates quickly. Soo-hyun is rushed to the hospital, while Ji-hyun and Oh-sung nearly come to blows themselves, shouting accusations at each other. While Soo-hyun recovers, Chanmi continues her quiet investigation. She remembers what So-mi told her earlier, that Won-suk had been involved in handling Oh-sung's problems. Determined to learn more, she asks JBM for help arranging a meeting with Oh-sung. Meanwhile, Ji-hyun stays by Soo-hyun's side as he leaves the hospital. On the way out, they briefly cross paths with So-yeon, who is disguised and clearly hiding her intentions. Not long after, So-yeon meets Seon-ha's father and collects the money he promised, payment meant for Soo-hyun's violent act against Young-kyung. Chanmi finally meets Oh-sung, hoping to get answers about her brother. Instead, she leaves the conversation with more confusion than clarity. When Oh-sung accidentally leaves his phone behind, Chanmi follows him to return it. That decision leads her somewhere she never expected. She arrives at his house and sees Ji-hyun there. The mood turns cold instantly. Ji-hyun is furious and demands that Oh-sung handle the situation immediately. She makes it clear that Chanmi must never tell anyone that they are living together. The next day, Oh-sung explains himself to Chanmi, claiming that Ji-hyun is his stepsister. He asks her to keep their living arrangement a secret, admitting that they despise each other. Just when it seems the situation might calm down, Young-kyung returns to school, this time with detectives. Students scream at them to leave, but the investigators remain focused. They begin collecting CCTV footage from around the school grounds. One clip stands out, a female student stopping near the area where the attacker escaped by jumping the wall. That student is Chanmi. This discovery shakes Chanmi deeply. Her doubts spiral, and for the first time, she seriously suspects Soo-hyun, not just in Young-kyung's assault, but possibly even in her brother's death. Driven by fear and desperation, she goes to Soo-hyun's house. She steps inside, slowly, carefully. As she looks around, her eyes land on a pair of shoes, the same shoes Soo-hyun wore that night. They are stained with dried blood. Her hands tremble as she takes them. Soo-hyun realizes what she has done almost immediately. Soon after, detectives question Chanmi, showing her the CCTV footage. She admits only one thing, that she met Soo-hyun that night. Nothing more. This leads the investigators straight to Soo-hyun. When questioned, he keeps his answers short, claiming he met Chanmi and went out exercising. The next day, Chanmi returns the shoes to Soo-hyun and apologizes. She tells him she stayed silent with the police. Soo-hyun looks at her and says something that lingers heavily in the air. The person who attacked Young-kyung is not the one who took her brother's life. Later, at work, Soo-hyun carefully disposes of his gloves and tape in the bowling alley trash. But his sense of relief doesn't last long. He soon realizes something disturbing. Detective So-young's husband is his doctor. The net is tightening. When Chanmi receives a mysterious note instructing her to go to the auditorium. When she arrives, she is suddenly attacked from behind and loses consciousness. While she is out cold, someone uses her phone, setting a dangerous plan into motion. JBM eventually finds Chanmi and rushes her to the hospital. What neither of them realizes is that Chanmi has unknowingly been used as part of an attack against Ji-hyun. The next day, chaos erupts at school. An explicit photo of Ji-hyun begins circulating among students. When she traces its origin, she is told it started from Chanmi's phone. Blinded by rage and humiliation, Ji-hyun storms toward Chanmi. The moment she sees her, she slaps her hard, not allowing a single word of explanation. She raises her hand again, ready to strike once more. The chaos inside the school quickly draws attention, and Soo-hyun steps in before things spiral further. He pulls Chanmi away from the crowd, guiding her to a quieter space where the noise and accusing eyes can no longer reach her. His face is tense, not angry, but clearly frustrated. He reminds her that he warned her something like this would happen. That was the exact reason he begged her not to return to this school in the first place. Chanmi listens, shaken, but her mind is racing. She knows something serious has gone wrong, and she needs answers. Trying to understand what triggered the situation, Chanmi reaches out to her friend and asks what kind of message was sent from her phone. She is confused and scared because she knows she never sent anything like that herself. The realization that someone used her phone without her knowledge only deepens her fear. Not long after, Chanmi meets JBM and tells him everything that happened. She explains how her phone was used and how things suddenly exploded out of control. Trusting his position and skills, she asks him to check the school surveillance footage to see if they can identify who entered the auditorium and accessed her phone. JBM agrees, understanding how serious the situation has become. Meanwhile, Ji-hyun confronts Soo-hyun. She wants to know why he defended Chanmi so strongly in front of everyone. His answer is calm but vague. He says this whole situation might be a misunderstanding and refuses to say anything more. Ji-hyun is clearly not satisfied, but Soo-hyun doesn't budge. Later that day during lunch, the tension in the school is impossible to ignore. Students whisper openly, their eyes following Ji-hyun wherever she goes. She feels the weight of their stares as she sits beside Soo-hyun, sensing that rumors are spreading faster than the truth. At the same time, JBM quietly finds Chanmi and tells her he managed to get permission to access the surveillance system. When JBM finally checks the footage, he sees someone entering the auditorium at the time Chanmi's phone was used. However, the moment he recognizes who the person is, his expression changes. Instead of telling Chanmi the truth, he lies. He tells her that whoever did it must have avoided the cameras entirely. Chanmi is disappointed but has no reason to doubt him. Not long after, Ji-hyun learns that a damaging rumor has spread across the school. People are saying she is living with Oh-sung. No matter how much she wants to deny it, the truth makes that impossible. Furious and humiliated, she turns her anger toward Chanmi, blaming her for everything that is happening. Ji-hyun meets Oh-sung and orders him to deal with Chanmi and make sure she disappears from the school for good. Taking this seriously, Oh-sung goes to his father and reports that Chanmi is staying illegally in a dormitory, asking him to take action using his authority. Around the same time, Ji-hyun calls Chanmi and tells her to meet at a parking lot. Chanmi goes there without knowing what is waiting for her. As she arrives, she is surrounded and brutally bullied by people Ji-hyun hired. The attack is cruel and deliberate, meant to break her both physically and mentally. Soo-hyun witnesses the aftermath and rushes to save her, but the attackers are already gone. He helps Chanmi up and handles the situation as best as he can, his anger clear but controlled. Later that night, Chanmi returns to the dorm, exhausted and injured, only to be hit with another blow. Photoshopped pictures of her have been plastered around the building. She silently begins tearing them down, fighting back tears. Before she can finish, the dorm owner appears and tells her the police were contacted. Someone reported her for staying there illegally, and she must leave immediately. Just then, Soo-hyun arrives. Seeing her state, he tells her she can stay with him until she finds another place. With nowhere else to go, Chanmi accepts his offer. Elsewhere, Oh-sung sits alone, scrolling through photos and screenshots taken from Chanmi's phone. Among them are messages between her and her brother, Won-suk. The information clearly unsettles him. The next morning, Chanmi prepares breakfast for Soo-hyun as a way to thank him. The moment feels quiet and strangely normal, a sharp contrast to everything she has endured. After eating, they head to school together. Upon arriving, Chanmi finds another note in her locker. She immediately assumes Ji-hyun is behind it. The note tells her to go to the auditorium during 5th period. Meanwhile, Youngkyung corners Oh-sung in a hidden part of the school and questions him aggressively. He wants to know why Oh-sung hasn't found the person who assaulted him yet. Oh-sung tells him to stay calm, insisting that he is still working on it. During 5th period, Chanmi goes to the auditorium, only to realize a seminar for senior students is taking place. She sits down quietly as a video begins to play. Suddenly, the screen changes. The room falls into stunned silence as footage appears showing Won-suk being kicked out of a window. What was believed to be a suicide is now exposed as murder. Panic spreads instantly, and the case sends shockwaves through the school. Chanmi feels her world collapse all over again. Later, JBM meets Oh-sung and tells him about the person he saw on the surveillance footage. He warns Oh-sung not to harm Chanmi. In response, Oh-sung reveals the truth. Chanmi is Won-suk's twin sister. The revelation leaves JBM shaken. Elsewhere, Ji-hyun brings the same bullies to So-hyun. She is dragged into an alley and violently beaten, becoming another victim of the growing cruelty. The next day, JBM notices a pair of limited edition shoes hanging from a tree. He immediately recognizes them as Oh-sung's. The discovery confirms his suspicions. When Oh-sung approaches him shortly after, his behavior only makes things feel more unsettling. Elsewhere, Chanmi receives yet another note, instructing her to meet at the shooting center. As investigators officially begin their work, they first inspect the auditorium where the shocking video was played. After that, they call Chanmi in for questioning. However, she doesn't arrive. Instead, she heads toward the shooting center, unaware of who might be waiting for her. As she walks, she hears footsteps behind her. She turns around and it is JBM. The video that exposed Won-suk's murder didn't end the nightmare. It started a war. Now the school knows he didn't jump. Someone pushed him. And the person responsible is still walking these halls. Chanmi thinks she's getting closer to the truth. But every step forward puts her in more danger. Because the next person who approaches her is someone she thought she could trust? Who sent the notes? Who recorded the video? If you think this is just revenge, you're wrong. This is a setup. Don't miss the next episode. Subscribe, like, and comment your theory. Because the next reveal changes everything.